Hello, everybody. You did not think that we would not have a show this week again. Come on. You had to have known we were having a show after everything that happened over the course of the last few days. As you can see, and as you will soon hear if you're just a listener, not a viewer, it's Andrea Llanes, a.k.a. Akisita, and Franco Panizo, a.k.a. myself, here on Miami Total Football Radio, the show. A special Friday night edition for those of you that don't have any plans, spent them all last weekend for Valentine's Day, so you're staying in this weekend. Well, we're here to join you. We're here to talk some Inter Miami. Andrea, an eventful week, and the season opener hasn't even started yet. So we'll get to previewing that game in a moment, but how are you doing on this fine Friday night? Thank you for joining me.
Hi, Franco. Nice to be here and nice to talk about Inter Miami. Let's get ready. The season is here. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about the game in Sporting Kansas City and everything. We're gonna have some opinions. We're gonna talk about it. You know how we do it here on a Friday.
We're definitely gonna have some opinions. And the games that matter this year for Inter Miami have officially begun, even though the MLS season has not begun. But before we get to all of that, here on Miami Total Football. No me salió. No me salió. Maybe I need to drink one of these. Maybe I need to drink one of these. I still, throwback, right? I still have this beer, this Inter Miami La Tropical beer.
Ya está vencida, Franco. Si Franco no aparece mañana, es que se tomó eso vencido.
It's from I forget which year it was, the home opener of a couple of years ago.
Like 3 years ago.
I've still kept it as like a souvenir. There was a 6-pack. They've all been drank except for this one. This one is still a little nice souvenir. So Miami Total Football Radio, the show. So you had to talk about drinking on a Friday night to get my juices flowing. No, I'll be drinking Gatorade today.
No, right.
But of course, all the pleasantries. Please give us a like, a share, a comment, a subscribe, a review, whether it's positive or negative, whatever you want. It's all free, so just do it if you can. It helps us out tremendously. Andrea, before we go into Wednesday's game and Saturday's game, we're going to talk very quickly because I don't want to spend a whole show, nor are we going to sit here for 10 minutes to talk about journalism. Malcolm Maryland here says, my sources tell me today's episode is going to be spicy. Tracy Duan says, good evening. So we're going to talk about my report from last Sunday. Because there was a lot of noise around that in the aftermath about the report. So I'm going to say before I get to it all, and I don't know if you have any thoughts on that because we haven't really talking about this, but I stand by my reporting. I stand by what sources told me that Lionel Messi did not want to play in what was originally scheduled to be a Tuesday night game in Kansas City. And that is what I tweeted as evidenced here. I'm going to share with you the tweet. Obviously, if you're a listener, you're not. Yeah, I'm bringing the receipts, Andreita. Los recibos están acá. So I'm bringing out the receipts. And if you are a listener, well, you're just going to have to take my word for it or hop on YouTube and check it out. That is what I tweeted last Sunday, February 16th. After we recorded the show, I reiterated what I heard before the podcast that I shared with you guys on the podcast. And it says, quote, sources have told me that Lionel Messi does not want to play in the blistering cold on Tuesday for Sporting Kansas City. Whether he does or not is still to be determined. But there is a chance Messi does not play in the Concacaf Champions Cup opener. End quote. Nowhere there do I report that he is not playing. I said there's a chance. I said whether he does or does not is still to be determined. But I never, ever said he did not want to play. Now, other media outlets, because it's Messi, grabbed onto that news. And some of them wrongly reported that I said that he was out, that he was not going to play, that he was refusing to play. And I never said that. I might have said on the podcast speculating, or my supposition be that my prediction would be that he would not play, but I never reported outright as information that he would not play. This is The tweet, it is at 7:38 p.m. on February 16th. Now, I know there's the Messi fans, the Messi fanatics that will come at you if you say anything
The
against
creeps.
their superstar, which is
Because
fine.
there are Messi fanatics, but there are some Messi fanatics, but then they are the creeps. Because you can be a Messi fanatic, you can be a fan and a stan or whatever the hell they call it right now. I don't even know. I'm a millennial, so I don't know that terminology. I'm not that old though. I'm a young millennial. But people are insane. Like people
It's
are
Messi.
creeps. People
It's Messi.
are
Messi.
insane. But
Es la
it's
pasión
insane.
es la pasión
No, that's
que
not. I can understand some people, but people are literally insane, like insane. The amount of messages that we were receiving, I cannot even imagine the amount of messages that you received because
my girlfriend
we
was like,
received
my
we
girlfriend
received
was like,
messages telling us to insult you or insulting us, and I was like, a mí me rebala, verdad? Whatever. I just block everyone
I don't block
that's
anybody.
yeah.
Bring
You
it.
you
Bring
you
it.
are feeding by the hate. No, I block.
Bring
If
it.
you. I block the ones that tell me that que me mandan a matar. Pues. Then I've been called Ronaldo's bitch, and they go looking around my tweets like, what the hell, man? Don't be weird. But is that a comment from Cuba?
Leo
Oh,
SH. Hello, good evening, everyone. Greeting
hola hasta Cuba.
Janet
one.
Luis says hola desde Canadá. Cada says hola
Desde
Miami Total
Canadá.
Radio.
Cada.
Donnie listening to Soccer Swifties.
Yeah,
I'll say this.
it's even more insane than the Swifties because there's like I even responded to one because I just couldn't take it anymore. That creep that was messaging you, messaging Jose, messaging me.
There was
It's
one
like
guy. There was one guy
what
was,
the hell?
right.
That man, like if we go to the police, we could have gotten a restraining order against that creep. And there's no other way to explain to all our listeners and all that are watching us. Like he's a creep. Like a creep, like who is writing under. You put it a video.
It was some Venezuelan guy. I don't know where he lives. It's fine. Listen, I welcome
I agree that you have to stand by your reporting. And listen, sometimes things change. This was a moving situation, and when we recorded the podcast,
hold on,
we were talking about this. You said you brought the report on, and we were talking about Concacaf, about not moving the game, and at the end, people need to analyze things because at the end, Concacaf ended up moving the game.
Correct. So I want to get there.
Inter Miami didn't want to play.
I want to get there. So because I already see the comment section, people are joining in a little bit after the show started. We started on time today, surprisingly. So some people might have missed. Expecting us to be late. Maybe they missed. This is the tweet. I'm pulling it up again. It clearly does not say anywhere that I said he is not playing. I said whether he does not is still to be determined, but there is a chance Messi does not play in the Concacaf Champions Cup opener. There is a chance. I did not report he is not playing. That was taken out of context by other people piggybacking the report, maybe who speak a different language, and the news got lost in translation. I never said, reporting-wise, that he was not playing. I also said this, like Andrea astutely pointed out. I'm going to make sure I put the right tweet. And this was at 8:11 on February 16th. So the same exact night, 30, 40 minutes later, I tweet this. Sources also told me Inter Miami was looking to see if game could be postponed or moved to a warmer location. Forecast for Tuesday night is 5 degrees Fahrenheit with the wind chill temperature dipping down into the negative and negative 12 degree Fahrenheit. Well, guess what? After that, suddenly the game was moved from Tuesday to Wednesday at the behest of who? Other outlets have reported that both teams moved the game. But that's bullshit. Peter Vermees on Monday, when they did the Matchday -1 press conference, he was ready to go. There was no, we're concerned about the city and the fans. No, that he didn't say anything. He said, it'll be an advantage for us. It'll probably take him a little bit of time to get used to, et cetera, et cetera. Normal game talk. But the news comes in on Monday that, hey, the game is being pushed back from Tuesday to Wednesday because of a snowstorm. Okay. You could buy that if you want to believe that. You can say, all right, yeah, it's for the safety of the fans and the players and the teams or whatever you want to say. There are countless other examples throughout CONCACAF's history where they have played games. Maybe countless is not the right word. Numerous examples of CONCACAF playing games in cold weather, cold-ass weather, and snow. The U.S. men's national team versus
Honduras.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica.
It was Costa Rica.
Yeah, they played a freezing one, more freezing than one Inter Miami played in Minnesota.
A blizzard. No, they played the Costa Rica one.
Oh, the Costa Rica was in Colorado and Honduras was in Minnesota.
In Colorado. In a practical blizzard where the ball literally just
you
sat
couldn't see the ball. Yeah.
You couldn't even see it. So this whole BS of and Mascherano came out on Monday saying, bueno, es más que el partido, es la ciudad se va a apagar. Give me a break, man. Give me a break.
Yeah, that's what I tell you because it happened. It happened. The game was moved and it shouldn't be moved because they didn't move Pumas, they didn't move Monterrey, they didn't move Colorado LAFC. They didn't move any of those games with freezing temperatures also. And Inter Miami's game was moved. Inter Miami was the one pressuring because when Mascherano talked that day, they hadn't traveled. And it's by CONCACAF rules. Inter Miami, listen to this. Inter Miami is breaking CONCACAF rules because they didn't travel that day. They didn't do that press conference over there. And they traveled even the day of the game. And CONCACAF requires you to be 24 hours at least before the game so that you do press conference and you do a reconocimiento de cancha, as we say in Spanish. So that's a fact. People can say what they want. Messi fans can say what they want. But the fact is that Inter Miami moved the game because they didn't want to play in the snow. Absolutely. That is a fact.
Absolutely. You can't deny that they moved the game from Tuesday originally scheduled to Wednesday. Wednesday was just as cold, if not colder. It just did not snow. Right? So, we're going to pitch it up to the snowstorm and the safety of everyone. It's still freezing cold outside. You can still get frostbite. You can still get hypothermia. I will address this and then we'll close this out because we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on them, any more time on this. Darsh says in the comment section, I don't know why it's hard to accept that, I was wrong, but never mind. Listen to Darsh. If I get something wrong, I will raise my hand and say I got it wrong. As a matter of fact, I'll do it right now for the David Martinez because on last week's podcast, I did report this news from a source that hit me up during the podcast that David Martinez trained. And that wasn't the case. David Martinez's injury looks to be a little bit more serious than what I reported. So I got it wrong. I have no problem saying I got it wrong. Everybody gets it wrong. Players get it wrong on the field. Coaches get it wrong with their decisions. Reporters can get it wrong with their information. I never said he was not playing. Never said that. Now, if you want to say that I did, that's fine. That's fine. Listen, I've covered this team from day one. I will cover this team for a long time, before Messi was here, after Messi was here. So you guys can formulate your opinions, say what you want to say. That's fine. If you want to criticize me and bring the heat, no problem. I don't block you.
Just don't be creepy.
As long as you don't pass the line and make it threatening, no problem. You want to call me whatever you want to call me, no problem. I don't block anybody.
But let's say also there were people who were very nice, people that listen to a podcast every week. Let me look in my Twitter. I want to see a message because I want to say the name. Celine, who is a listener of the podcast, she sent messages and she sent messages to this person that we were talking about, the creep. And just don't take this personally, man. It's our job to report about the team. We're not fans. We're not Messi fans. We don't have an altar of Messi. We don't have an altar of Mascherano and Inter Miami. That is a fact. A fact. And the facts are, as Franco said and as I said already, Inter Miami didn't want to play on Tuesday and they moved the game. They did everything and they moved the game. It was freezing as hell. Many people can argue that game shouldn't be played. Well, those are the conditions, unfortunately, for the tournament. But a fact is a fact, and Inter Miami didn't want to play on Tuesday and they moved the game because of that. They didn't move any game. They didn't move any other of the games that we have talked about here.
Colorado played LAFC on Tuesday night in very similar weather.
The same storm. The same storm. The same system affecting exactly. Yeah.
Why didn't that game? And look, it's funny enough that Colorado took to make this tweet, which I've also prepared, and it says, "Too cold and they put flamingos emoji for the Herons. Inter Miami, and it says perfect for Colorado versus LAFC. And it's a picture of their stadium with the snow on the seats. This was tweeted on the 18th, so Tuesday at 1:01 p.m. So they had.
Yeah, it is what it
their
is.
game postponed? Why wasn't
I
their
know
game postponed?
sometimes fans are maybe hard to accept some things, but facts are facts, and it is what it is. And we're here to report. That's your job. You reported it, and at the end, well, it happened. The game wasn't played that day that it had to be played.
That's how I'll finish this one. Because I want to make the show about Inter Miami. I don't want to make it about me. I've covered this team from the beginning. I've broken news throughout that's proven to be true. I will let my work do the talking for itself. If you want to believe me because you've seen the work I've done over the past few years, great. If you don't want to believe me, if you think I'm making crap up, if you think I'm just being a clickbait journalist, then great also. If that's what you want to think because you're new onto the scene, because you're a Messi fan that just stumbled upon Inter Miami, you don't know my history, my work history, the things I've broken, the things I've reported over the years, then that's fine. That's fine. Just as long as we keep it, you can criticize it, but just keep it civil. Don't cross the line. Don't make threats. There was already one guy trying to threaten me, and I still didn't block him. But just you want to come at me, come at me. And speaking of reporting, I reported this. Look at the timestamp on January. What does that say? 28th. Baltasar Rodriguez will be an Inter Miami player. Oh, guess what? Now all of a sudden, the move is being reported elsewhere as being close to finalized. So again, my work speaks for itself. I'll just leave it at that. You can like it, you can dislike it, you can have your opinions. No problem. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. Opinions, dialogue, discourse. All right. Andrea, let's move on to this weekend's game because it's Friday night.
Let's talk about the game before the game. The last game. You have to keep tradition as you have been doing it all the years. Don't switch on me right now. I was prepared to talk about sport in Kansas City.
Well, all right, fine. Sometimes we do alter. So I like to go in chronological order, but sometimes depending on the timeliness, I switch it. I was going to do it opposite, but I will do at your behest, Andreita, because you're joining me here on a Friday night when you could be out with Jose having a nice romantic dinner. I will accept. All right, so we'll talk about the game in Kansas City. By the way, my report and all the hoopla that came around it led to some very funny social media content, including this tweet from Sporting Kansas City saying there's no escaping now, and a picture of the snowstorm, Children's Mercy Park, Lionel Messi. It's a fantastically constructed tweet. And Inter Miami had some good ones. Colorado, we already showed that one. But yeah, anyway, so the game happens on Wednesday. No snowstorm, but it is still freaking freezing cold. Inter Miami prevails 1-0 off a goal by who else? Lionel Messi. And it was a golazo. A golazo. And I knew as soon as he scored, I was like, here come the Messi fans into my mentions. No problem. I'm here for wins, losses, draws, golazos, errors, whatever. I'm here for it all. So he scores a great goal, and that's all Inter Miami needs to win 1-0 in what I think, and I think you'll agree with me, was a pretty ugly game. It
was the worst game. And Inter Miami fans are not going to like this because they're going to say we're negative again, but if Inter Miami didn't have Messi, they wouldn't have won this game. This clearly is a Messi brilliance, a moment of brilliance of Messi and Busquets. Busquets with that cross to Messi to find him, and Messi getting that goal with his right foot after taking on all defenders and getting the ball to his right foot. It wouldn't be Inter Miami, of course, without Messi, and the performance by all his teammates, except maybe for me 2 exceptions, were horrible. Sporting Kansas City, we were talking about this before. Sporting Kansas City doesn't have a good team. They were one of the worst teams last year. They were very inconsistent, and when Pulido came back, then they got a little bit better, but they were bad. They were bad, and they are still bad. They made some moves with Joveljic, but that was forced because LA Galaxy didn't have any cap space. They had to get rid of him, but he hasn't settled in, and it's a bad team. So I expected Inter Miami to come and dominate this team, and they really didn't. And if it wasn't for Messi, who is just brilliant, because that goal is just a brilliant goal. It's just is you can see his talent. You can see Messi will be, yeah, Messi will be 60 years old and he will be able to do that because that's him. We have seen him score goals like that in his whole career, and he did it here in Kansas City to save his team. Because if not, we would have seen a boring draw. If Messi didn't have that moment of brilliance, we would have seen a boring draw in this game, because Inter Miami had maybe a couple of chances, but none of them jumped to me right now as to say, oh, clear chance that was saved by the goalkeeper or something like that. They had opportunities, but they were not as clear as I would have imagined them to be against this team in Kansas City. Of course, the cold, all of that affects that performance.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest.
And that performance. But it didn't affect Lionel Messi in the moment that they needed him. And that's why he's here, and that's why he's the best player in the team and in the league, right? He gets paid
millions and millions of dollars, right?
Exactly.
Miami. He gets paid handsomely.
But let's be clear: if Messi wasn't there, Inter Miami would not have won this game. They tried, and
they were the better team, though. They were the two teams. They were the better team. And look,
because Kansas City is horrible.
Kansas City is terrible. Before I analyze the game, I'm going to say this. I'm going to be very clear now what's information, what's supposition, so that there's no confusion for anyone. So it was very clear that the conditions, this is my analysis, it was very clear that the conditions impacted the game tremendously. It was an ugly display of football. Neither team looked great. It was two teams playing in brutal conditions. Un frío de la patada, para no decir un frío de... The ball must have felt like a freaking boulder. Javier Mascherano talked after the game about how, you lose senses to your extremities in that cold weather. Even some of the players on the field felt that. And you could see it. You could see from the run of play. Neither team was clicking on all cylinders. Now, Inter Miami, obviously, is more talented. They have more talented players. And like most people expected, I think even Peter Vermees, Inter Miami had possession. They were the ones on the ball dictating the tempo, pushing the game into Sporting Kansas City's half in large stretches. But they weren't able in the first half to translate that into many clear-cut opportunities. There is one early on for Luis Suarez from around the top of the box, and he's pretty open, and he pulls it wide. You would normally expect him to at least force the goalkeeper into a shot, given his quality. But his poor form for preseason carried on into that moment, and he pulls the shot wide.
For me, to tell you the truth, for me, it was irresponsible for Javier Mascherano to play Luis Suarez, because he looked bad in this game, in that chance that you're saying, and then the rest of the games.
He didn't look great.
Because he, of course, imagine Luis Suarez has problems with his knees. And imagine in that freezing temperature, he must have felt horrible. And I understand that they are Messi and Suarez because you take them as a pair, right, in Inter Miami. But it is what is the person say?
No, I'm just popping them up. I'll read them. I don't want to interrupt
you read them. Okay. So the problem is that Luis Suarez, for me, was the one that shouldn't have played this game, because he looked not just out of form, but he looked like it was difficult for him to play there. And it must be because he has revealed in the past how his knees are and how complicated it is for him to play, and all the injections he needs to get and infiltrarse and all of that. So it must have been super, 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 super difficult for him to play there, more than the others. Of course, they were cold, but it must have been difficult for Luis Suarez to play there. So it surprised me that Javier Mascherano kept him in the field that long, and he was a starter in this game, especially because if you had Messi that was going to play.
But they don't have another striker. They don't have anybody else. Right now,
Yeah,
they don't have another striker.
but we were talking about this last week. If you were going to experiment, this was a moment to make it, because you have the great opportunity this year that your draw in Concacaf Champions Cup is an easy one until semifinals. So
just because it's easy on paper does not mean it's easy in reality. And we
yeah,
saw that
of
last year
course it
against
wasn't.
Atlanta United. We saw it against Atlanta
Yes,
United.
of course. And it wasn't easy against Kansas City, because if we were talking about the game was horrible, and if Messi wasn't there, they wouldn't have scored. But I think maybe another player would have added something different than Suarez, because
maybe, but
also the problem is that Inter Miami players, Telasco Segovia, Tadeo Allende, they all have to look for them. So as you were saying, Luis Suarez missed that chance, and then wasn't very, very, very good on the ball in Kansas, unfortunately. Here it's going to be different, because he's going to be home, and they are a different team at home, right? But for me, I don't know why Mascherano kept Luis Suarez that long on the field, to tell you the truth.
I mean, it's the same reason why why Tata did it. Right? They just trust la jerarquía del jugador, right? They trust his know-how, his experience, that even if he has a bad game, he gets a half chance and he'll put it away. Now, that didn't prove the case in this game, but I mean, there's also not another option behind him right now, a true number 9. Maybe there's one on the way from the international market, but there's not one in the roster right now. Speaking of starters, this was Inter Miami's starting lineup in Javier Mascherano's official debut as Inter Miami head coach, and he started with, of course, that same 4-4-2 that we saw in preseason. Oscar Ustari in goal. Your back four, Chelo Weigand, Thomas Aviles, Gonzalo Luján, Noah Allen for the suspended Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba has been nursing an injury since preseason, but that's not why he missed this game. He was suspended due to his antics a year ago in the Concacaf Champions Cup elimination to Monterrey. Midfield 4, Tadeo Allende, Federico Redondo, Sergio Busquets, Telasco Segovia. Yannick Bright was not in the entire game day roster due to an injury. We'll get to that. Up top, your superstar duo of Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. And again, I want to give Lionel Messi his flowers, man, because El Golazo deserves to be talked about in a little more detail here. The way he brings the ball down with his chest, controls it at his feet, in a smooth motion, chops it to his weaker right foot, takes the extra touch, and then slots it home on the low roller to the back post. It is a sublime finish. A hell of a goal. Tremendo, tremendo, tremendo golazo. Probably one of his best in Inter Miami colors. And he's had a lot of good ones, but it's probably one of the best. And it gives them a very vital away goal going into the second leg next week, which we won't talk about here. We'll leave that for next week's pod. But let's listen to Javier Mascherano talking in English about Messi's golazo. Game-winning golazo.
Well, fantastic. I think it's maybe for the people that know him, is normal, because he did things like this or goal like this 1,000 times, but we are very lucky to have him in our team.
Muy bien. I'm going to give a round of applause, and I'm being serious. I'm not being sarcastic. Un aplauso a Javier Mascherano for fielding questions in English. It's not his strong language, but he can speak it, and he does so when asked, and he does a good job defending himself. So, kudos that he can do both. Awesome that he's willing to do both. Tata was like, no, I'm not. Just ask me in Spanish, or if you want to ask me in English, fine, but I'm going to answer you in Spanish.
Yeah, but Tata didn't play in Liverpool. You get teachers to
Tata
teach you
Atlanta,
English.
Tata
Yeah, but you don't get teachers there. This is not Europe. In Liverpool, you get your own tutor to teach you everything.
Está bien. That said, again, from the game standpoint, I mean, very quickly, aside from Messi's goal, let's just talk about some positives.
I like Noah Allen. I think he did a
I was-
good job in this game,
I
and
wanted
for
your
me
podium. I wanted
was
your
was
podium.
one of the positive.
No, dame tus
the
tres.
positives.
Dame los tres. So in Spanish, for maybe English-speaking fans who don't know, in Spanish, constantly, besides man of the match, obviously you talk about man of the match, there's a podium, el podio, of the top three, right? Like if you're giving a gold, silver, and a bronze. So Andre, I want your top three players from this game in order from 1 to 3. Or if you want to do it suspenseful, you can go 3 to 1, but just let me know which way.
No, well, I guess number one has to be Lionel Messi because of his goal, and that takes on everything that anyone did on the field, because that goal is just a fútbol capacidad futbolística extrema. And then I would say Noah Allen is my second player, and then I'm in between Sergio Busquets because of that assist, and Federico Redondo because I think he had a good game after not being there against Orlando as a starter. I mean, as a starter. So I think he did a good job in this game. He got balls back and was good in transition and was participating in defense well, and also was participating in plays, in the build up for plays, right? So it would be my third place between Sergio Busquets and Federico Redondo, but definitely Noah Allen and Messi, for me, they were at a level over everyone else. Messi because of that goal that was spectacular, just spectacular. He's a spectacular player. And then Noah Allen because he did a good job, and he had a big shoes to fill, and especially because of if you compare him to the other side, that was a whole mess and was terrible. Noah Allen did a terrific job
We're gonna talk about
on
Chelo,
his
Andrea.
flank. He did a terrific job on his flank, and he deserves that recognition, in my opinion.
So for me, el podio would go. I know what's gonna happen, but I gotta be true. I gotta be honest.
They're gonna call you a Messi hater.
Messi, number one.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his best game,
Mm-hmm.
right? He missed on some passes, but again, the conditions play a factor. But he
goal.
did have the golazo. He
Mm-hmm.
had he was involved. He looked for the ball, especially the second half. I thought he was better than the first half. He hit that hell of a pass. I think it was to Fafa Pico late on that could have made it 2-0. But Pico took a terrible shot. The nice through ball in behind the defense. So Messi gets number one. Number two, Noah Allen. Number three, I think I'm going to go Thomas Aviles. He helped put out fires that Chelo struggled with. Now, we will talk about Chelo again, because I think he gets a lot of unjust criticism. And I know you have your opinion on it, but we'll save it for the preview of this week's game. I will say this about Chelo's performance against Kansas City. His hands were full. He bent, but he did not break. And he had probably the toughest defensive matchup. Because he was up against Eric
break
Thomas.
Because Sporting Kansas City doesn't have the capacity.
That's true.
Like
true.
the meme, we don't have the capacity. That's
true. Sporting Kansas City was a poor team. I will say that to Peter Vermees talked a good game in his post-game press conference. But listen, if I was covering Sporting Kansas City, I'd be saying my opinion of what Peter Vermees said is BS, because like he was just shot. He said, "Oh, last year we would have lost this game 3-0," which maybe that's true. But you're essentially like taking away from your shortcomings by trying to highlight where you were a year ago with a different team. And I think that's defeatist.
For him, he has to find something positive, right? But
they competed well.
They competed more than we give them credit, because I thought this would be, even with the goal, a pass in the park. Yeah.
Pero jugaron un partido inteligente.
And they knew that the problem for Inter Miami is that they knew how to take advantage of Inter Miami's shortcoming. And that can be a problem in the future for Inter Miami, because that's the problem area. that they seem not able to fix. And a team with greater capacity, like Orlando is going to give Inter Miami trouble, right? And it's something that Mascherano needs to work in. And it's something I want to say is that someone in the press conference asked Mascherano if he was employing Bielsa's tactics, and he said yes. To my surprise, to tell you the truth. But this is something that Inter Miami needs to correct, because it cannot be happening again. This Kansas City didn't make you pay in this moment. But
what was Kansas City's game plan, Andrea? What was Kansas City? They were literally absorbing pressure and hitting on the counter. And they're pretty much
waiting for the counter.
The only idea that they really pretty much had was to use their left winger in the matchup against Inter Miami's right back, Chelo Weigand. And Eric Tommy is good. He's a good MLS player. And he's crafty. You could see when he was on the ball. He gave Chelo a handful. But Chelo did not break. Chelo held him in check. Did he get beat at some moments? Yes, but he had coverage from Toto Aviles, which that's part of his responsibility and his función. So Inter Miami was able to nullify the one attacking idea, besides maybe some pieces, that Sporting Kansas City had. And that was enough. So, it was a smart game from Kansas City. They're not going to go blow for blow with Inter Miami, which is much more talented. Did they compete well? Yes. Was it a smart game? Yes. Did they have moments where they looked threatening on the counter? Yes. But they had no venom in the final third. There was Oscar Ustari could have folded or could have taken out a folding chair, sat there, and just waited, because he was not tested in this one. So he probably was freezing his ass off, to be honest with you, because he was probably hoping hey, come on, give me a good shot so I can at least sweat a little bit, man. I'm cold over here. Petenero Lopez in the comment section says, saludos desde Petén, Guatemala, Messi el mejor. So we got a Guatemala listener and viewer here on the show. Saludos, hermano. All right. The reason why, to start rounding out this game is the reason why I don't give Busquets or Redondo, I don't put them in my podium, and Busquets had a hell of a pass, no doubt about it, and he didn't have a bad game. I don't put them in my podium because Inter Miami, I expect them to have the ball against Sporting Kansas City. And Sporting Kansas City just doesn't have the talent to try to wrestle possession away from Inter Miami. So I expect them to have the ball. And I'm not saying they were bad, but I don't think they were good enough. And again, conditions are a part of this. But I don't think they were good enough for the large spells of possession Inter Miami had. They weren't dangerous enough in terms of finding those passes in between the lines that maybe could create a chance. They have their moments, sure, but not enough. So again, Messi, Allen, Aviles for me. In a 1-0 game, to have two defenders in there, I think that's fair. Because again, this game wasn't full of chances, right? So that's
and to talk about the other players in midfield, Tadeo Allende and Telasco Segovia, I don't think they were they had their best games, but you have to think it's because of the temperature, right? Because they were freezing. It surprised me that is what I was telling you. It surprised me because I expected to see Robert Taylor in this match, because Robert Taylor was just wearing a hoodie. This was his element. This was his when I saw him get down on the plane with just a hoodie, I was like, wow, este man sí que es duro.
Tiene la sangre.
Lo tiene en la sangre, definitivamente. And I thought maybe Robert Taylor could have gotten a little bit more minutes, but I understand that Telasco and Tadeo Allende need that time to settle in, especially with Messi and Suarez, because you could still see moments where Messi and Suarez tell them this and that and give them. I think Tadeo Allende is catching up a little bit more than Telasco Segovia, but Tadeo was here first, right?
Started earlier, right?
So I think that maybe played a part in not bringing Robert Taylor.
So we've got a couple of comments to round out this game from the comment section. Kala says, 1 Messi, 2 Allen, 3 Busi/Lujan. Janet Luis does it backwards. She gives us the suspense. 3 Noah, 2 Busi, 1 Messi. Clay C says 1 Messi, 2 Busquets, and 3 Redondo.
We all are in agreement because those were the names I gave.
Alonso Linca says Noah Allen número 2 en el equipo de los medios. Come on, Alonso. Look, Noah Allen. I think I messaged you guys in the WhatsApp group, our beloved WhatsApp group. I said Noah Allen is quietly having a very good game. He was very solid. Very solid.
No, he was solid, and especially because you compare it to the other side, as I said, and Allen was not as disastrous, and you don't have to say Noah Allen took the storm and he went. No, Noah Allen didn't permit a storm to pass through his side, and for me that's commendable because he isn't a starter and he hasn't played a lot with these guys, and especially in that position because he has played as a center back and not on that side of the field. So I think he did a good job. And well, as we say, Messi is Messi, and then Busquets for me gets that because that's just football IQ, football football heritage. Like Mourinho says, that's football heritage. Busquets and Messi and those balls and those definitions is just football heritage. Alonso
Linca. Aguante Sporting Kansas City el martes, ahí estaré.
Okay, hay que hacer una apuesta con Alonso Linca because Sporting Kansas City is never. If Sporting Kansas City remonta this 1-0, I would be very surprised. It would be one of the biggest surprises of the tournament, to tell you the truth.
Alonso is a colleague / dear friend of mine. Fellow Peruvian. Alonso, if you get here early enough, we can go to Starbucks and try to get a coffee. Hopefully this time my car doesn't get stuck there for a couple of minutes and scare us because that's what happened before a practice not too long ago. Yeah, we were like the car, like the key fob for the touchless ignition, it just wasn't working. The battery was dead, and we were stuck there trying to figure. We're like, crap, we're gonna miss practice, and we're like literally less than 5 minutes, like 3-minute drive, 2-minute drive.
Maybe Alonso Linca gives Joveljic his start, and listen, and I'm really mad at Sporting Kansas City right now because they just since every MLS team has to publish today their roster compliance before the start of the league tomorrow. They let go of the Honduran guy they had, so hopefully Messi scores 10 goals on Tuesday.
Very quickly, we'll listen to Mascherano talk about the win, and then we're switching gears to this weekend's match, this home opener, season opener for Inter Miami. Let's listen.
I have one more topic with this thing. One more. We have to talk about it. 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 Put Mascherano.
No, I'm very proud of them. No, I'm very proud because I think it's impossible to play in these conditions. It's not human, So I'm very proud because they gave to me 100% with intensity, with a lot of attitude. So we are happy. We are in the half time of the qualify, so now try to rest after a very difficult game for us, and I'm thinking about Saturday in the open of the MLS.
Okay.
Andrea. In the main conditions. So, two quick topics to end this here. Today we talk with Jordi Alba, and something interesting that is Concacaf Champions, that is why I'm bringing it up. Someone asked him about Sergio Ramos went to Monterrey, and Jordi Alba looks at the draw. That's why I like these veteran players and like when they speak, because you get answers, you get structured answers. And Jordi Alba admitted that he looked at the draw and he said, hopefully we can play against them if we both make it to that game. And that game is a semifinal, a projected semifinal against Monterrey in the Concacaf Champions Cup. And second thing that we couldn't leave here, that is what I knew it. That was my thing. And I asked Mascherano today because it's a whole scandal. Inter Miami cannot go a week without a scandal. Let's face it. This is not their fault. This is the referee, but I understand Kansas City logging a complaint with CONCACAF, but they went even further. They lodged a complaint with MLS because they say they don't want these things happening in MLS, and really it's a bad look. I told you in our WhatsApp group that we were talking.
Tell the people what happened, because it was reported by ESPN that the referee apparently, based on the video images on TV broadcast, asked for Messi's jersey. But that actually was not what happened. Now, again, ESPN reported that it was apparently. So,
yeah, the thing is that when I saw the images at the end of the game, the referee went to Messi and talked to him. And I told you in that moment, I think, yes, and I told you guys in that WhatsApp chat, I think the referee asked Messi for his shirt, and I told you guys, what did he tell Messi? Well, and no one, it was later, we were going to Mascherano's press conference, but ESPN went and looked into it, and then Kansas City was looking into it already, and it became a whole scandal because apparently the referee asked Messi for his shirt, autograph. This is what he is saying. Let's say what is reported and let's say what the referee is saying. It's admitting. And then that he asked Messi for his shirt. And then the referee admitted to Concacaf, according this to Concacaf's press release that's on their media thing, on their media channel, that the referee accepted that he asked for an autograph for a family member who was a disabled family member and wanted Messi's autograph. But the problem is you are a referee. Special needs, yes. So you are a referee and you do that in front of the cameras. That's unacceptable. And of course, he is
even away from the cameras.
Yeah, that's not ethical. That's not ethical. I understand it's Messi, but it's not ethical. Let's face it. Any team can come and say, oh, and now you're doing this and permitting it. So
it lends itself to perception of favoritism during the course of the game. If after the game the head referee is asking one of the star players on the other team or any player on the other team for an autograph, right? And I get, maybe it came from a good place, but you can't do that if you're a referee. Professional referee, sorry, man, you can't do that. They said that he was disciplined. They didn't say how he was disciplined.
Suspended, but they didn't reveal how long or CONCACAF was very very vague. And since he's Mexican, he's a Mexican referee. His name is Marco Antonio Ortiz. So you know that this it's bigger in Mexico than what it is here in the US, right? Here in the US it's big, but in Mexico they were talking about
bigger deal.
Yeah, exactly. So even Armando Archundia renounced to be the head of referee in the Mexican Federation. So it's a big scandal. That's why I wanted to mention it. And I asked Mascherano today, and he said he had no comment, of course. So it's something that
this one's not on Inter Miami, though. This one's
it's not on Inter Miami, yeah. But I understand Kansas City lodging a complaint because they have to take any advantage that they have, right? And it is what it is.
Malcolm Merlin says, "Come on, Franco. Everybody in the league knows Inter Miami has favoritism." Okay, sure. And
thankfully, there wasn't any decision that you could say that the referee, because can you imagine that Inter Miami had won in a penalty and this happened? It would have been a worse thing.
It would have been.
He did a good job. I think there wasn't any anything, and the game didn't warrant anything that was controversial.
Nothing suspicious.
So, thankfully, yeah. So thankfully, but Inter Miami cannot spend a day without a controversy. But it is what it is.
And switching gears, so Saturday night now, Inter Miami will host New York City FC. The game was originally scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We were going to have a Saturday afternoon kick. It was going to be the first game of the 2025 regular season, but that got pushed back at the behest of Inter Miami, because again, this is something they requested, to 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. So the game will still happen on the same day. It'll just happen a few hours later. Adjust your schedules accordingly. It's against New York City.
I wanted an afternoon game, especially to see if that was something Inter Miami can take advantage of because of climate. We talked about freezing temperatures, but
they will have
to come. Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's what I was telling you. So it would have been interesting to see how, because we know that they have an advantage because they live here or whatever, but we haven't seen them play a lot of games. I mean the Fantastic Four. We haven't seen them played a lot of games in the afternoon here in Miami, in Fort Lauderdale, and it would have been nice to get to see them and to see what can we expect, and if that time is really an advantage for them or it's just normal.
I mean, it was cooler today, so anyway, we'll see. It should happen soon that they play in an afternoon game. Just not happening on on Saturday. Now, home opener, season opener, there's interest. Of course, we got to talk about the game itself. Inter Miami's at home. They got to be the favorites. They're one of the favorites to win MLS Cup, if not the favorite. We know all those major big talking points from all of our preseason podcasts. Now we got to talk about this game specifically, who's available, what we expect. Today officially, we'll start with this. Today officially, Inter Miami has to submit an injury report. This is the injury report officially. And this screenshot is from MLSsoccer.com. This is from their official league-wide, team-wide injury report. These are the 3 players that are listed on Inter Miami's injury report. Yannick Bright, thigh, questionable. Drake Callender, adductor, questionable. David Martinez, ankle, questionable. None of those 3 guys played on Wednesday night. 2 of those guys, Yannick Bright and David Martinez, were not at practice today, at least while we saw 15 minutes. Drake Callender was. Drake Callender's situation is an interesting one because I asked...
And you asked about him, and I asked about the capitanías. How do you say capitania in English?
Captaincy.
Captaincy.
So we asked about Drake Callender today and what the latest is on him. Because we were told he was close to 100%, that he's almost there, that he's almost taking part in full training. But every time we see him during the 15 minutes of training, he looks fine. Now, it doesn't mean he's not carrying anything, but if he is, it doesn't look, it's not evident, at least during the first 15 minutes of training. So this is what Mascherano said in Spanish about Drake Callender earlier today, Friday, when I asked him about his availability. Drake,
bien.
Drake, bueno, va a entrenar ahora y ojalá se sienta al 100% porque estamos con ganas de tenerlo con nosotros. Mientras más seamos, más fuerte vamos a ser. ¿Listo? Chao, chao.
All right. You chuckle. And I'm going to ask you, and listen, comment section, you are allowed to say whatever you want. You're allowed to have an opinion like we're allowed to have an opinion. Andrea, what do you make of that comment from Javier Mascherano? And before you answer, I have to translate for the English speakers. He said, paraphrasing roughly, Drake is going to train now. Hopefully, he'll be 100% so that he's available. The stronger we are, the more options we have, the more players available, the stronger we will be. And he smiles and walks off. Okay, that was the end of the interview. What do you make of those comments, Andrea?
Same as we've been speaking. I don't think we're going to see Drake tomorrow. Maybe we see him on the bench. Who knows? Inter Miami, usually last year, we have to figure out how Mascherano is with his goalkeepers, if he wants to have 3 goalkeepers on the bench or 2 goalkeepers on his bench, and see who makes it. For me, right now, it's Rocco Rias no, because Mascherano didn't give a straight answer. And he said, for me, if you read between the lines, he said when he feels 100%. So he's saying that Drake says that he doesn't feel 100%. So it's not a clear situation, unfortunately, with Drake Callender, but I don't think we can expect to see him on the bench tomorrow, especially if you only have 1 goalkeeper on the bench.
Malcolm Merlin in the comment section says, doesn't matter how much you guys want to hype him because he's American. I'm sorry, Malcolm. You couldn't be more wrong. I criticize Drake Callender and his shortcomings and his fit in this style all the time. Now, if I do that, then somebody else is going to call me negative, but bueno, that's fine. And I've already said what I think about Drake Callender. I think he's surplus to requirements here. I don't think he's long for Inter Miami. I think some point, somewhere, somebody in Major League Soccer is going to come grab him. If they don't, he's going to have an uphill battle, an uphill climb to get that number 1 spot back. We have a comment here from Joan School on Twitter, and it says, will Ustadi or Callender play? It's going to be Ustadi. Callender hasn't had a single minute in preseason with the first team. Yes, he's experienced with the group in general, but I can't imagine Mascherano starts him on Saturday against New York City FC after not having seen him in any game situation this preseason. I mean, that would be the biggest
For me,
if that's the case.
for me, the game to start their calendar is the game against Sporting Kansas City. You have 2 goals, 1 goal that means 2 goals of advantage. You are at home against a lesser team, and you're practically with 1 foot in the next round. It would be a catastrophe if Inter Miami gets eliminated, because that means Sporting Kansas City has to score 2 goals on them for them to be eliminated.
Focus on Saturday, Andrea. Don't take
for me, that I'm answering the question. For me, tomorrow Stadi plays, and Rocco is gonna be on the bench from what we have seen in this preseason. And it wouldn't surprise me that on Tuesday it would be the opportunity for Drake Callender to show Mascherano if he has a future with Inter Miami. But as you say, it could be that Mascherano wants to play with Ustari. As I said on last week's podcast, for me, if you have a starting goalkeeper, just because he missed preseason, you cannot send him to the bench just because you got Messi's friend, right? And for me, Drake Callender should get a chance to fight for his because he was the starter of this team, and
that's why he had training. And I mean, again, we don't know what happens after the 15 minutes. I would imagine. Otherwise, Drake Callender would have to be such a good soldier to train for 15 minutes and not train fully with the rest of the guys if he's not injured. Malcolm Merlin says, I love that smirk from Master. He doesn't care about these bums. LOL. Oh, now look who's being negative. How dare you be negative, Malcolm Merlin? How dare you?
For me, I will just end up saying it's unfair to their calendar because
I don't think it's unfair. I just think they don't rate him. If you don't rate him, you don't rate him. That's it.
But how can you not rate him? You haven't seen him, and he was the starter. So when a starter gets injured and he comes back, he gets a chance to fight for his.
That's not true. That's not true. Andrea, if I have a team full of jugadores peruanos, right, and you've seen them all, and then I get fired and you're given the team, you already have an opinion on certain players. Now you get to see it up close and see if your opinions are right or wrong, but Andrea, he doesn't fit the style. I can share. No, I'm gonna hold on to this one. I'm sorry, guys, and I hate doing that to you, but I'm gonna hold on to that for a little bit. But I'll tell you guys soon. You can believe it or you cannot. Up to you. I think he's on the outside looking in right now. And yes, Ustadi I think starts tomorrow. I think hands down. I think it's a no-brainer. He started on Wednesday with the first team. Why would he not start in the MLS season opener? All right, rest of the team, Andrea. Jordi Alba spoke today. Funny enough, he's not on the injury report, though. How does that work? Injured. How does that? Oh, he said he's feeling discomfort.
Yeah, but that's something that he has. That is Jordi Alba has that since last year, and it's something like Suarez knees. You know, it's there. It's always gonna be there, and you cannot do anything about it. Like he said today, I cannot do anything about it. I can play, and that's all that matters.
No, let's hear what Jordi Alba said, and then we'll pick up off of that.
Bueno, de la lesión sí que es verdad que aún tengo un poco de molestias, no me impide la pierna derecha, no me impide del todo pues, bueno, jugar, sí que me limita un poco, pero bueno, estoy bien para jugar, disponible para lo que me pida el entrenador y bueno, estoy bien, dentro de lo que cabe estoy bien, por suerte y bien.
Es la cicatriz de Jordi, Franco, don't you understand? Es la cicatriz de Jordi.
Oh my goodness, here we go con la cicatriz. I get your reference. It's funny.
Hopefully, some people that are usual listeners from my got that reference.
when Messi had la cicatriz last year, Tata talking about a scar.
Listen. So I don't think it's something that will, like he said. Basically, he said that after the injury. Yeah, you have it.
I have quote. This is a rough translation. Quote: I have some discomfort in my right leg. It doesn't prevent me from playing, but it limits me a little bit. I'm fine to play, end quote. Rough translation. I don't know. I mean, if he has some discomfort, I think he should be on the injury report. Even if you want to put probable, lo que sea, but he should be on there.
No, because you don't put Suarez on the injury report, and his knees don't work. And he's not on the injury report, right? You don't put Ian Frey on the injury report, and he's coming back from a knee surgery.
Maybe
so
he's healthy now. I mean, he's not saying I have discomfort, and I mean we don't know, but like, we haven't talked to him about it.
No, but to give you an example, like you put injury reports are for players that are going to miss or that can miss this game. It's una copia of the injury reports in NFL or NBA, right? But the NFL and the NBA do them every day, so we get a little bit more clarity about that, right? And a little bit more transparency. I wish MLS was a little bit like and the NBA or NFL, because listen, the NBA yesterday, their biggest future star has a clot, and they said it. They didn't hide it, and they said it immediately. So I hope MLS can take the step in the future. But
KTV says his ass is getting old and washed too. And
it's something. It's something like that. Listen, these guys are up there and they have careers, long careers, and it is what it is. That's what you get, and that's why I brought the cicatriz, because Messi, I'm sure he has his problems also with his cicatriz and everything, right? But I think Jordi Alba is ready to play. I think we'll see him tomorrow. Noah Allen did a good job against Kansas City, but there's no way that Jordi, if he said today he's ready to play, he'll play. Exactly.
Give me the starting lineup, Andrea. Don't give me what you would do.
No, it's a 4-4-2, clear 4-4-2.
Javier Mascherano.
Sustari. Then you get Jordi Alba.
On the left, okay.
And then you get, I guess,
is a big question mark.
Yeah, it's a big question mark.
Do you see Noah Allen? Do you see Peluca? Maximiliano Falcón is.
I see Maximiliano Falcón playing, and along with Toto Avilés, because as you said, Toto Avilés had a decent game against Sporting Kansas City. Luján, I can say that he's still not 100% ready. Or maybe he is, who knows. But I can see Maximiliano Falcón starting tomorrow, because he needs to play. He needs to get into things. And they started Luján after he got here. So I think they're going to do the same with Maximiliano Falcón. They didn't risk it in Kansas for obvious reasons. But this is the perfect game to start him. And then you get Chelo Weigand. And in the middle, we're going to see the same lineup. Tadeo Allende, Sergio Busquets, Federico Redondo, Velasco Segovia, and Messi and Suarez.
So the only change for you is
the center backs and bringing in Jordi Alba back. So
2 changes for you, according to what you think Mascherano does. And that's Jordi Alba for Noah Allen at left back, and Maximiliano Peluca Falcón at left center back for Gonzalo Luján. Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, we're close, right? Because Yannick Bright apparently suffered an injury.
Yeah, he will not play. I don't think
he did not dress on Wednesday. Wasn't out there today. So you gotta, I mean, again, with these injuries, since Inter Miami likes to be mysterious, we don't know exactly how long he's out for.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't have a detailed timeline
or a day by day. Right. Exactly.
No, don't say day by day. I hate that. Don't say day by day. That's what Inter Miami uses. I mean, I think you mean daily.
No. But what I mean is, like, as I was saying, like in the NBA and in the NFL, when you wake up, there's an injury report. Giannis Antetokounmpo is available to play tonight, or Giannis Antetokounmpo is injured and he will play tonight. So,
Kyle in the comment section says Peluca has a SpongeBob and Patrick tattoo.
Oh my God, I didn't know. I love Bob Esponja and Patricio are my favorite things.
Bob Esponja! Andrea loves Bob Esponja. Okay.
Yes, Bob Esponja and Patricio. Patricio Estrella is my favorite thing.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know you were a big
yes, I will show you some pictures for you to see how I love Patricio Estrella and Bob Esponja.
Ajicita is not all spice. She has a softer side to her opinion.
I expect. I don't know if you agree, Franco, but
I think
a Falcón starting, or you see Luján starting.
So let's talk about this. I don't know if we talked about it a whole lot in the preview pod before Wednesday's game on Sunday. Maximiliano Falcón is with Inter Miami, the Uruguayan center back with the nickname Wig. He traveled with the team on Wednesday. He was on the bench, did not play. Of course, I agree with you. Jordi Alba comes in for Noah Allen. It's that left center back spot that I have a question. And I think it'll be Gonzalo Lujan. I think I agree with you. You said Falcon, sorry. So I don't agree with you. That's the one change I think Mascherano, another change that Mascherano
You think he keeps the center backs in that played against Sporting Kansas City?
I think he keeps the center back. Yeah, so let me be clear here. Sorry. Not inside information, supposition. Although it doesn't have to do with Messi, so I imagine Messi fans don't really care as much. Supposition, not information, is that I think he goes with Aviles and Lujan at center back. So he keeps the tandem from Wednesday night. I think that Mascherano will want to take it a little bit slower, right, with Falcon. I think Mascherano will be mostly encouraged with what he saw defensively, although albeit against a different and much weaker opponent. New York City FC should put up more of a fight on Saturday night, but I think it'll be Aviles on the right, Lujan on the left, and then again Jordi Alba coming in for Noah Allen. So I think Noah Allen will dress. I just don't think he plays in this one. Yeah.
And for me, it's a doubt because we saw, and since our listeners and our viewers know, Inter Miami now is divided into rondos, the starters and the not starters. And Maximiliano Falcon took Mike David's spot on the on the rondo with the starters. So
Ruiz was just a placeholder, Andrea. You should have known.
So Maximiliano Falcon was already training with the starters, with that base of guys. That's the lineup we're discussing, plus Fafa Picot, right? That's always trains there. And comments, Miami
King. He says Alba, Lujan, Toto, Cello. That's his starting four. And he says Allen and Falcon sub in. Okay, Miami King went out.
It could be. Listen, it could be. I could see it happening. What I don't see it changing is the formation, the tactics, and I think Mascherano revealed that he wants to play like that. He wants to be Bielsa. I don't know if the team is playing like.
He didn't say. He said no sé si soy bielcista or no. It was just like he kind of like dismissed.
But he said yes, maybe yes. Like he didn't dismiss it.
I don't know. It wasn't dismissive. I don't know. It wasn't like it could be. He was just kind of like I don't know about that.
It would be fun to see Inter Miami play like a Bielsa team, but right now I don't think they have that capacity. Not because Messi is not talented in that, but the rest of the roster is still not ready to play in that manner, right?
Andrea, key to the game, Inter Miami. Even in the 4-4-2, it could be 4-4-2 with some focus defensively, but they're going to still be pretty, you imagine it'd still be pretty proactive in terms of trying to take the game to New York City FC, right? So, I mean, that's what we imagine here. So what is the key to the game for Inter Miami for you?
For me, the key to this game is...
Que Messi va otro así del cielo, haga el chop y define como un dios.
I was going to say something in that manner that for me the key to this game is we already know Inter Miami's weak link is the defense, and especially if these young guys play and all of that, we've discussed it. So for me the key to the game is that even though the defense is bad, that the attack is on point and they take the chances that they did it against Kansas City, right? They had opportunities. Tadeo Allende had an opportunity. Telasco had an opportunity. Luis Suarez had an opportunity. Fafa had an opportunity. So for me is their attackers being killers, matadores, and taking the chances that they get. Because listen, New York City is not the greatest team, but it's a solid team that has been working, that kept some of the guys from last year, at least the base of the guys from last year that are coming back, and they complicated Inter Miami in some spreads last year. So I expect them to do the same here. But it doesn't matter if Inter Miami gets behind by a goal or 2 goals. What matters is that the front guys can come and do like they did New England Revolution in the last game of regular season last year, that they were losing and then they came up and won the game 5-1, right? And
So
attacking.
For me, the key to the game for Inter Miami is just to avoid mistakes at the back. If you avoid mistakes at the back, like any silly mistake, any individual unforced error, I think you win this game. Right? Inter Miami on paper is better than 95% of Major League Soccer teams. They're probably deeper too. Now they're not the deepest in number 9. That there's definitely a question there. But based on what we expect to be the starting lineup, at home, momentum, energy, yeah, they're going to be playing on short rest, right? Because they traveled back immediately after the game on Wednesday. Actually, they flew Wednesday to Kansas City. They didn't fly Tuesday. They flew Wednesday in the afternoon.
Terrible decision.
They played, then they flew afterwards, got here in South Florida Thursday in la madrugada, like in the
for me that's
early,
something, and
morning.
it's good that you address it because that was something that I wanted to say.
Hold on, let me finish. Hold on.
Okay,
They
I'm
got
gonna
back
forget.
Thursday at 3-4 a.m. They didn't train on Thursday. They got the day off. Friday today was their first day back practicing, although it's probably a very light session before tomorrow's game. And of course, have another game to plan for on Tuesday for the second leg of the Concacaf Champions Cup. So all that gets taken into consideration. Mascherano did say today that not everyone is going to be available. He would not say who. Actually, let's listen to it very quickly. This is what Mascherano said about the availability of players for tomorrow.
No, todo el mundo no está disponible para mañana. Tampoco te voy a decir quién. No te voy a dar pistas, pero la mayoría de los chicos sí. Y bueno, nada, recuperando. No estamos ni siquiera a 48 horas del partido que jugamos en Kansas, donde ya todo el mundo vio las condiciones con las que jugamos, y bueno, eso también requiere de quizás esperar un poquito más a los jugadores a ver cómo se van recuperando, ¿no? Porque ha sido una situación inédita para todos.
Okay, so he says, and I'll just kind of paraphrase the beginning. He said, no, not everybody will be available. I won't tell you who. I'm not going to give you any clues. But the majority of the players will be available. Andrea, we talked about the guys on the injury list. We talked about the guys we don't expect to be there. Maybe there is a rotation. Possible. It's possible. Maybe we're overlooking that. But I do think with it being the home opener, the fans being in attendance, the first game of the year, I think they'll come out with a pretty strong lineup. So again, the key for me is avoid a mistake at the back, and then your talent should rise to the occasion, right? The cream rises
for
to
me,
the top.
talent.
They should win.
The talent, attacking talent, to be precise. It doesn't matter if the defense commits mistakes, as long as the other guys are scoring goals, and nothing like what happened with Atlanta happens, then Inter Miami should win this game very easily, even if they rest. They rest these players.
I think they score goals just because of just pure talento. They're going to score goals no matter what.
Yeah.
Just a matter of avoiding the mistakes at the back. That's
but the problem is, well, I can agree with you. And what I wanted to say is Inter Miami needs to manage their traveling better, because traveling to game places the same day is not a good strategy. You have to take into account the legs and everything. I know they just say it's 4 hours, 5 hours, 3 hours, it's close, but that in an MLS season, and in a season like this one, that Inter Miami has to travel for Concacaf, that will play the Club World Cup, that will have to travel for all those games and all the MLS season, they need to bring back traveling the day before and not leaving travel to the last second, because that takes a toll on players. And they prefer that because they want to be with their families. But in the footballistic side, you have to take into account that is not the best for a whole season, because this season is going from February to October. That is not the best tactic, and hopefully Inter Miami don't continue to do that, because it would be a shame to see injury problems coming since the beginning of the season.
Oh, no, yeah. Perdón, Chamo, Alejandro, and I think this is that guy. Si Messi es el dueño del equipo
Man,
y no
busca
quería
vida,
jugar,
vos.
¿cómo es que viajó a Kansas? Explícanos, Franquito.
Busca vida.
Alejandro, rewind the tape. Rewind the tape. We talked
Busca
about it in the
vida.
first.
No le digas que rewind, que busque vida.
Rewind
Si es
the
el
tape.
creep que está mandando mensajes, busca vida.
Hey, maybe it's
Busca
not
vida.
him. Maybe it's not him, Andrea. Maybe it's
Sí,
not
si
him.
no es, si no sos vos, perdóname, pero si
It's
sos
him,
el
bro.
creep, busca vida, sí,
It's him.
busca vida, man.
100%. Anyway,
Busca vida.
rewind tape, así, and bring it back, and you can see what we had to say about that. And
Mejor buscate vida, ese es mi consejo. Buscate vida.
But
yeah, and
consider Miami win, yes or no? So we're gonna wrap this up. Consider Miami win, yes or no?
They win.
All right, I think Miami wins, and all right. Just to round out the show, to get to tell the Messi fans what they want to hear or what they don't want to hear. Does Messi get on the score sheet tomorrow against New York City? Does he find the back of the net again and start the MLS season on a strong note?
Yes.
I agree. He scores. And okay,
does.
We will be there, of course. And so, any final thoughts with regard to the game? Don't say Busca Vida. Don't say it again. I'm not
I already forgot about that. I already forgot about that.
And any final thoughts, Andrea, on this upcoming game?
Well, I think Inter Miami needs to start this MLS season strong, especially because Mascherano is a new coach and he got his first win, obviously, but he got it on a tournament that's not MLS, and he needs to start on a good foot tomorrow, and we need to see a strong team. A strong showing from Inter Miami. It's what we all expect, right? And I think it's important for Javier Mascherano and for the team, for MLS, because let's face it, for me, they are already in octavos de final in Concacaf Champions Cup. So it will be important for them to start this seguidilla de partidos. They need to start strong in the tournament that hurts the most, because it was the tournament that fans were expecting them to win last year and they didn't, so they should get a Franco. Fans were expecting Inter Miami to win, especially they were talking about Charlotte and Orlando and all of that, and it didn't happen. So I think it's important for them.
You're talking about the playoffs.
Yeah, they didn't win the tournament. Okay, I'm saying so. It's important after that bad experience is important for fans to get this win, to start the season with a win, to start the season at home with a win.
Bad. I thought you were talking about the Champions Cup.
No, about MLS. That Champions Cup was a year ago almost. And
that's what I thought you were talking about. I thought you were like, oh, that was the tournament they were supposed to win. All right, for me, it'll just be good to be back in the stadium for a game that matters with the fans. Excited, jumping up and down, and us being able to analyze Inter Miami versus what should be a better level opposition in the regular season opener. The regular season always has a lot of interest. There was more media turnout today at practice than we've seen probably maybe all of preseason combined, at least at Inter Miami's training facility, which probably won't last. That's always the MLS way, right? The regular season opener has a high peak, and then it kind of dips off and stabilizes until end of the year.
And this season in general in MLS, I think it will be interesting, and it will be interesting to see if Inter Miami can keep that role as a favorite, because they are favorites. As you said, they are heavy favorites, and to win the whole thing. So hopefully they can keep up for the fans. They can keep up, and if not, we'll be here to analyze it either way, positive or negative. We'll be here to analyze. Yes.
Tony asks, MLS regular season is mostly meaningless. I hope people aren't reactionary when New York City get their usual draw. Possible.
Yeah, and that's why we were talking, because New York City, I was talking about that when we were.
New York City's a step up maybe from Kansas City, but they're still not. No.
Yeah, they're not Columbus or Atlanta.
I don't see it. Last thing I'll say is hopefully, for the listeners, we will be back at some point between Saturday night's game and before Tuesday's Champions Cup second leg. Hopefully, which means it's either going to be Sunday or Monday.
Or
Andrea and
Franco is gonna
Jose's
do it
schedule's very
alone.
busy. Yeah, see, I'm gonna do it alone, or I don't know. I'll do it alone if I have to. But
Or invita al creep.
hopefully,
I'm joking. Yeah, hopefully we can do it and we can analyze this and we can analyze the how do you say la ida y el regreso?
The
I
away
forgot
leg,
how to
the
say
decisive leg, the second
the
leg.
decisive leg, the second leg.
It's
Yeah,
actually
the
not the away
second
leg
leg.
because it's the home leg. But
Yeah,
the home
yeah,
leg,
the
second
home,
leg, the decisive leg.
the second leg. Yes, that was.
So,
So we can analyze that for you and the changes we expect to happen on that game, hopefully, and we get it and we gave you insight to the team and see what happens.
and I'm sure that there will be some development, something more to talk about. There's also tickets to talk about ahead of Tuesday's game because of some stuff that happened
Ooh.
off the field, and it's definitely worth criticism. Sorry if that's negative for some of you, especially Inter Miami's marketing team. And all right, we will leave it there. If you're going to the season opener, have a great time. We will be there. If you see us, stop us, talk some football. I do it all the time. If you want to completely rip to shreds my reports and my opinions, I'll listen. That's no problem. I'm very approachable. So I'll be there.
I will
Andrea
hit you
be
with
there.
my camera if you approach me. I know, I'm joking.
Andrea will be there. Jose will be there. And I thought we gotta go back to talking about SpongeBob and Patricio because now you're being Ajicita, spicy Ajicita. All right, so we'll leave it there for now. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all of the above. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. For Andrea Llanes, aka Ajicita, aka Patricio Estrella's #1 fan. I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening to Miami Total Futbol. No me va a salir. No, ya no me sale, man. Radio. We will talk to you guys again soon.